I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Darian, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sunshine Law Statement, all requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been met for this meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Oradell. Notice of this meeting was filed with the record and all persons requesting such notice. Mr. Darian, would you read the mission statement?
The Oradell Public School District is dedicated to the ongoing pursuit of educational excellence through comprehensive, innovative curriculum and instruction. The district is committed to providing opportunities for social, emotional, and academic discovery to foster curiosity, courage, and character. Our goal is to prepare our students to become lifelong learners who are self-directed, resilient, productive, responsible citizens.
Thank you. Roll call.
Good evening. On the roll, Mr. Del Greco will not be here. Neither will Mrs. Downey. So Mrs. Genchi,
Here.
Mrs. Moran,
Here.
Mrs. Norian,
Here.
Mr. Nutlin,
Here.
Mrs. Walker will not be here. Mr. Darian,
Here.
Mrs. Nichols.
Here. We'll move right to the superintendent's report.
Good evening. First of all, thank you to Mrs. Genchi and Mrs. Norian for joining us in reading to students' classes this week. As you know, many schools in New Jersey celebrate 1 week of reading. We do an entire month at OPS. So we've had many readers in the building this week, including Councilman Kelly, Councilman Banfield, and Councilman Taji. And we've had representatives from OPD and the fire department, both Ms. Chris and John Trouse from the Oradell Public Library also spent some time in our classrooms reading to students, and I'm grateful for their presence, as sometimes it's just fun to have someone else read to you. We did something new this year in that we did bring in a substitute for one day and ask teachers if they wanted to visit a different classroom in the building to read to them. So for someone like Mrs. Kennedy, who prior to being a 6th grade teacher and a 5th grade teacher was a kindergarten teacher, it was a great 20 minutes for her to get to read to 1st grade. And for Mrs. Caruana, who went upstairs to 3rd grade to read to some of her former students from last year. And again, we hear the same people all the time, and sometimes when someone new visits, it's just adds a little spice and excitement to your day. So thank you very much for that. I'm very excited that on Friday, thank you to Mrs. Moran for correcting me because I was all ready for this tomorrow. On Friday, our 4th graders will be singing to their parents in a salute to New Jersey with songs and information from various New Jersey musical artists. This is a new event. As you know, when we decided to change the format of Winter Sing-Along, I still value the opportunity for students to sing and perform for their families, and so every grade level does have at least one performance this year. This is a new one for us, and we are very excited about it. And one item on your agenda today, I do want to bring your attention to one resignation, that it is of our school librarian, Mr. Mangle. Mr. Mangle is continuing on his journey in the world and leaving public education to explore new avenues, but he has really brought a lot to our community in that he came here as a second career, which brings a lot of background knowledge. And if you know anything about school librarians, in 2010, after the Christie cuts that year, school librarians got cut everywhere. And as a result, people stopped getting that certification. And when we were interviewing 9 years ago, we went through applicant after applicant, and I kept saying to myself, how can I have these people interact with 800 students at Oradell Public School, because that's what our special areas do every day. They impact 800 students. And when Mr. Mangle came in, not only did we get somebody with great presence and background, but he really has helped to grow our library program. So we are excited for his next steps and going to begin the process of replacing him soon. And finally, the final part of my report today is just a very quick update on district goal number 3. There's a copy of this in your folders. Also in your folders is the minutes from the Buildings and Grounds meeting. So as a reminder, District Goal 3 is to update the long-range facilities plan and update standard operating procedures for ongoing cleaning, maintenance, and replacement schedules. In November, Land completed a multi-day assessment of the physical condition of the buildings and grounds. They, and I had wanted to bring it up here today, completed a 500-page report of the building. That plan and the amendment was filed with the state in December, and that's great. We've met all our legal requirements. But at that point, we took that 500 pages, we put it in a big binder, and we gave it to our supervisor of buildings and ground, and we said, go through this and put a Post-it on every single thing that needs work, from a ceiling tile in this room to a wall socket, a wall plate that needs to be loosened or tightened in this room. And so we went from there and to create a table of all of those items, and we're in the process now of putting anticipated completion dates and completion dates. Many of these projects will be completed over the summer, as many of them are the replacement of ceiling tiles, which is often done over the summer. With regards to documenting standard operating protocols, instead of creating all separate documents, we decided to create a custodial manual. So the manual talks about general safety protocols at Oradell Public School, the supervision structure, but it also includes a daily cleaning checklist for every night and day custodian. Those checklists are specific to their section of the building. So this is one specific night custodian's tasks. We also really have worked to document what happens over the winter break. So we know over the winter break, a lot of our filters get replaced over winter break. Our main hallway floor, our MPR floor, gets scrubbed and waxed over winter break. And then we also are doing the same thing now for spring break. And then one of the pieces that we realized we weren't paying a ton of attention to was the cleaning of our district cameras. You would notice nothing during the day, but if the camera's not cleaned and you try to view night footage, it's really cloudy. So we've also created a cleaning kit, which has every material you've needed. You'll need to clean all the cameras, and a checklist for which cameras need to be cleaned and when. Also included in that custodial manual is a overview of snow cleaning protocols. One of the things that I realized this year is when a new supervisor of buildings and grounds joins our district, it's like a whole new adventure. They're not necessarily sure what materials they can use for each area, what areas to remove the snow from first, how to work best with DPW. So we've even put in this portion when to contact DPW, how to decide where the snow is going. So for example, when we clear the snow, we've actually identified a spot on Church Street and Center Street and approved that with DPW, so they then pick up the snow from that spot. And that just helps us to collaborate and work cooperatively with them. Next steps include now itemizing the work for the summer. And as I was walking outside, I think it was this weekend actually, I realized that we probably should also put a checklist together for the outside, because sometimes you don't notice something outside until there's a problem. So I happened to notice that there was one doorway that it hasn't been cleaned outside. So we might as well, if we're going to have a cleaning checklist for inside, put a protocol for walking through outside and straightening up outside as well. And we've also, Mr. Iapelli and I have been talking a lot about equipment maintenance and replacement, and in this specific case, also making sure that whatever we have here is working. And if it's not working, making sure we inventory it off. We have some floor machines that it's time for them to go. So one of the pieces we'll also be working on is itemizing all of our equipment so we always know what is in the building and what isn't. The final piece there is, I'm not sure you are aware, we're not a big district, so we don't use like school jobs, which like a very big district would use to put in their maintenance requests, where a teacher would say, the light bulb in my room is flickering. And there's a big automated process for that. But we've stopped using paper forms. So we do have a Google Doc that, it's actually a Google form that Mr. Iapelli and I both have access to. And I do want to make sure that we make it a protocol moving forward, that we look through it and make sure there is not something that's constantly, there's that one sink that's constantly being fixed, because sometimes you don't notice that right away. So that will be part of our protocols moving forward as well. And that concludes my report today.
Thank you, Mr. Iapelli.
And just to continue with what Ms. Bozis is saying, we started to move away from some of the faucets that are just, they're those old ones where you still have to turn them because sometimes the kids leave them on, and then there's something in the sink, and then it overflows. So we're moving away from those to the ones where the motion that you see. And our building and ground supervisor and our maintenance guy, they're able to make those installations. So they're able to take the old ones out, put the new ones in. So we've done, I want to say 7 or 8, and we're seeing how it goes, and then we'll just start going down the line. It was really just in the areas where, kids may have a tendency to leave the faucet on, and then there's a piece of paper towel in there, and next thing you know, the water's all over. So just simple things like that, but we have the people now that can just make those changes for us. So in addition to that, finalize the budget. And since now we have all our grants approved, all our amendments approved, and the state's now actually, they had a brand new grant system, a program. Their software is finally up and running, so now I could go through, submit claims, get reimbursements. So I've been doing that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to minutes. We have approval of February 18th. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept those minutes?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Norian. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Genchi,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes. Moving to committee reports. Mr. Darian, would you take administrative?
Yes, tonight we have a special item. I'd like to introduce item A1. It's for a special law enforcement officer. We're going to explore the process of placing a question on the November ballot for the community to vote on the placement of a Class 3 special law enforcement officer.
Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Mrs. Genchi? That was you? Was that you, second?
No, it was
Oh,
Jess.
Ms. Moran. Sorry. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Genchi,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes. Buildings and grounds. Mr. Del Greco is not here. Mr. Nutlin, would you take buildings and grounds?
Yes. There were a bunch of items that we've discussed that are key to the maintenance and to the proper upkeep of the building. So some of the areas that we wanted to make sure that we're updating are the screens in the NPR room, making sure that we can have those repaired that need to be repaired or fixed or replaced. We're getting quotes for soffits in the parking lot by the library. There's also going to be we're getting quotes for gutter cleaning. That will probably happen sometime around April. The playground has been inspected and it is safe. However, what we're trying to do is look into the next phases of refinishing the playground so that it can look nice and be fresh and continue to be a good product. So those things take maintenance, and this is what we're looking into. So we're having some vendors give some quotes. In terms of the HVAC, the kindergarten unit is going to be awarded to a company that's going to be adding also a privacy screen to it. We're also leaning towards some of the concerns of the existing units and how they're engineered so that we can, find systems that are easy to retrofit into them. So we're looking into that. We had a company come in to assess the sign that we have, our OPS sign, which is in need of some help. So we're getting some measures, some estimates to see what that's going to look like. We also discussed locker replacement and discussed restriping the possible parking lot and painting the cupola and adjusting the backboards on the courts outside. So that was our busy Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting, and that's what I have.
You want to move the item?
Sure. I'd like to move B1 to, I'd like to present B1, use of facilities.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Norian. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Genchi,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, curriculum, Mrs. Norian.
Yes, I'd like to present C1.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Genchi. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Genchi,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, finance, Mr. Darian.
Yes, so we did not meet since our last meeting, so I have no new information to update the board with. Tonight, we have some pretty big agenda items, one being D4 and D5, so if you have any questions, let me know. So with that, I'd like to introduce agenda items D1 through D5.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Genchi. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Genchi,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes. Delegate report, Mrs. Norian.
No report.
Personnel, Mr. Darian, do you want to take that?
Yes, I'd like to introduce the personnel report, item F1.
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Norian. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mrs. Genchi,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mr. Nutlin,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes. Policy, Mr. Nutland.
Nothing to report right now.
Public relations, Ms. Moran.
Nothing to report right now.
Special education, Ms. Downey isn't here, but I know she wanted to have a meeting open to the public. We have no public, so any old or new business? Does anyone have a need to go into a closed session? Do you have a need to go into a closed session?
Okay, I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Genchi, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.